When people think of Japan, they tend to think of insane anime cultures, respectful people, and its rich, long history of existence. But there's a whole other side to this country I think very few know about. Racism. It's not a typical racism involving violence, so maybe that's why you won't see it on the news often. It's more of an institutional racism by a whole society. Today, Grylls will be investigating a small Korean community that was left behind by the Japanese society, hearing those shocking stories from the locals about the experience of being discriminated against, and how they've overcome the challenge by continuously fighting back and making their voices being heard. For historical context, when Japan annexed the Korean peninsula in 1910, they took full control of its land, people, and culture. The Japanese Empire sought to erase Korean culture and language and impose its own cultural norms on the Korean population. But the oppression went far beyond the cultural assimilation. The Japanese Empire exploited Korean people for their labor and resources. Many Koreans were conscripted to work in factories, mines, and other facilities in Japan. These workers are subjected to harsh working conditions and physical abuse. One of which is where I will be paying a visit to the place called Utoro District. Hi, I'm Grylls, and we're here at the Utoro District. This was one of the places where Japanese discrimination against Koreans happened during wartime and still continuing to this day. Utoro District is located right in the outskirts of the Uji city in Kyoto and is still inhabited by the Koreans. The origin of this place dates back to 1940, when the Japanese military made the decision to construct an airfield in this area. Since all the Japanese men were enlisted in the army at the time, they fulfilled the labor force by inviting Koreans to the spot. They created simple camps for the Korean construction workers, which ultimately became their permanent housings, lacking in basic infrastructures such as water and gas supplies. This was where Korean workers used to live here, and as you can see, it's in a very poor condition. These basic necessities were it was not really in a good shape, but Japanese government didn't take any actions to improve their infrastructure. After the war, this became a controversial topic. While thousands of Koreans in Japan opted to return to their homeland, many couldn't since they had lost their financial footing back home. Koreans stranded in Japan were not permitted to gain Japanese nationality status. Rather, they were labeled as zainichi and became a hot target of discrimination by the surrounding locals. Even with surrounding cities exponentially thriving during the rapid economic growth in the 70s, Utoro was ignored from the rest and people were still fetching water from the wells. Furthermore, people of Utoro faced constant flooding since all the soil had been dug up during the construction phase of the airfield. Even throughout this adversity, the people of Utoro had a strong sense of community and constantly helped each other out. Their identity lies in this community because it allows them to openly acknowledge themselves that they are in fact ethnically Korean. So I'd like to give full credit to the people of Utoro Peace Memorial Museum for making this video possible. All the information provided in the video was what I've learned in the exhibition and also the incredible stories that I've heard. So I would highly encourage y'all to visit there when you come to Japan. Although public condos were built recently and the people of Utoro's life condition were improved significantly, they still have to live in fear of hate crimes. With one of the recent ones took place right in the heart of Utoro, where a 22-year-old man just burned down housings on purpose, completely intentionally. The remains are just crazy. And so anyway, I'll be making more content just like this, showing you underrated aspects of Japanese history and culture, so feel free to hit the subscribe button, and until then, see you next time.